Section 5.2 for algebra. We are going to solve inequalities using multiplication and division. In the previous chapter, we only did adding and subtracting. Now we're going to do multiplication and division. It's kind of like starting over in the beginning of the year, first semester, but we have a less than sign or a greater than sign instead of an equal sign. There's only one catch. Write this down. When you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, you must reverse the sign. We never had to do that with an equal sign, but that's, of course, an equal sign is the same forward and backwards. A less than sign and a greater than sign are not the same forward and backwards. They get reversed on each other. If you want to know why, there's a really, really good reason why you have to reverse the sign, but you got to come and ask me. I'm not going to explain the whole thing on the video right now. You want to know why we reverse the sign? There's a good reason why we reverse the sign. Check in with me and I'll show it to you in person. Get that all written down. Pause it if you have to. First problem, solve the inequality and graph. So we're still graphing. It's still one step solving. The difference is this is 5 times b. To get rid of multiplication, we divide. That's the inverse. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. You get v is greater than or equal to 9. Now notice I didn't multiply or divide by negative. These are all, this is a positive, so nothing unusual. Put a few numbers on the number line. Solid, because you have a solid, you should know that from the previous lesson. And we're going greater than. Anytime you write the variable first, the greater than sign will actually match the arrow, if your variable is written first. Next one, negative 3x is greater than 24. Take the time to write that down. This time, we are dividing by a negative. A negative 3 divided by negative 3 leaves you with just the x. We're going to divide by negative 3 also over here. 24 divided by negative 3 is negative 8. It has nothing to do with the answer. It's just the fact that you did the work. The division that you did was with a negative, and because of that, you need to flip the sign. Put your numbers on the number line. Please make sure they're in proper mathematical order. Open circle this time, and we're still going to the left for less than, because our variable was written first. Don't freak out, this is not a fraction, it's a division sign. If you want to write it as division, write it as division. Those of you that had me in class first semester, I let everybody do this anytime they wanted to. If that fraction scares you, write x divided by negative 6. That way you know that the inverse of division is multiplication. If you multiply by negative 6 on this side, multiply by negative 6 on this side, you get x, negative 42. And because you multiplied, the work you did was by a negative, you must flip the sign. Excuse me. You don't have to write it like this. You could have just multiplied by negative 6. We always show it up in the numerator because a negative 6 in the numerator cancels a negative 6 in the denominator. Whatever you multiply by, if it's negative, you flip the sign. Throw a couple numbers on the number line again. Make sure negative 42 is one of them. Make sure these are in the correct order. Open circle, and it goes to the right. You want to check your answers? Plug it back in. Negative 42 divided by negative 6 is positive 7. You want to check your arrow? Excuse me, plug in a number bigger than negative 42. If you plug in a number larger than negative 42, because that's what it said, you could punch in any number. Let's go with negative 20. If I want to put in negative 20 and I divide it by negative 6, I'm going to get 3. That's definitely less than 7. So if you want to check your answer, plug in the number. If you want to check your arrow, plug in a number that is somewhere up here where your arrow is. Next problem. Solve this inequality in graph. Go ahead and try it by yourself. Pause the video. Come back, see if you got what I got. All right, we're back. x divided by 5, I'm multiplying by 5 on this side to get the x isolated. I'm multiplying by 5 on this side. I get x is less than negative 25, and I graph it. And some of you are saying, wait, no. It's a negative. You forgot to flip the sign, Mrs. Bester. No, I'm not supposed to flip the sign. It has nothing to do with the answer to the problem. It has to do with the work. The wording said, if you multiply or divide by a negative. The number that I was doing the work with was not a negative, it was positive. So do not change the sign. So I have negative 25, negative 26, negative 24, open circle, still going to the left. Don't change it. Negative 40 is less than negative 5r. It's okay that the variable's on the other side. You still solve it properly. You just got to be careful when you graph is the only issue. So I'm going to divide by negative 5 because I want to isolate this r. I'm going to divide by negative 5 over here. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Because I divided by a negative, I must reverse this sign. I'm going open circle over the number 8. 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you have to be careful. You're not following the arrow here. You can't just draw it greater than and go to the right because our variable's on the wrong side. It wants r8 to be greater than all of the numbers r. So if 8 is bigger, all of the numbers r must be smaller. We flip the sign because we divided by a negative. If you want to, and it helps you, not only flip the sign, but also take this and write it in the reverse order so that your graph matches your inequality. We didn't flip the sign twice. We flipped the sign when we divided, then we rewrote the entire inequality in the reverse direction because if our variable comes first, then your arrow matches your less than sign. So try this one on your own, see what you do. Pause it. Okay, you're back. Did you divide by 3, hopefully, and got negative 31? You did not change the sign because we divided by a positive. But if you want to put it on the graph with a solid circle, you're going the opposite direction than what this says because g has to be greater than or equal to negative 31. If you don't like how that looks, then rewrite it in the correct order. Not correct, this isn't wrong. Rewrite it in the other order so that if your variable is first, your arrows match your greater than sign. That's it, other than, are you ready for this? A word problem. Kind of answers those questions of when are we ever going to use this in real life? It's when you go get your pilot license. You need to know how to do inequalities so that you know how much money you can spend. A student pilot, don't write this whole thing down, only write down the important information, plans to spend 80 hours, that's important, on a flight training to earn a private license. The student has saved $6,000, holy cow, for training. Write an inequality, meaning you have to write the expression first with the inequality, not just the answer, that you can use to find the possible hourly rates, and they want us to use R, that the student can afford to pay for training. And right now you're like, I don't know. I gotta reread this whole thing. No, you don't have to reread this whole thing. Work smarter, not harder, okay? We are working on multiplication and division in this section. So you know that you're either setting up a multiplication or a division problem with an inequality, knowing how to solve this. You look for the question, find the possible hourly rates that the student can afford to pay for training. Well, the student can afford $6,000. We're working with inequality, so don't put equals $6,000, put less than or equal to. She could spend all of it, or she could spend a little bit less than that. She knows that she's going to spend 80 hours to get her training, but she doesn't know how much it costs. Write an inequality to find the possible hourly rate. So if she's checking with this company, how much do you charge? With this company, how much do you charge? If it's $80 for every hour, we're going with 80 times the rate. I said that wrong. If it's 80 hours, we have to find out what the rate is. So it's 80 times R is less than or equal to 6,000. Write that first, then solve it. Divide by 80 on both sides. And we will have a real life answer here. Take 6,000, divide it by 80. It actually comes out to a whole number anyway. R has to be less than or equal to 75, and because it's a real life problem, get a label on there. Hourly rates, $75 an hour to get your flight training. And this is an old problem, so it's probably more than that. That's a lot more than if you're babysitting or waitressing or, I don't know, it's a lot of money. $75 an hour you have to pay. Or she could find a place that has less than that, but that's the most she could afford. All right, good luck with your assignment. Don't forget to flip your signs when appropriate.